welcome. Thank you, everyone, for coming out.
Check.
Really? Already?
See how
didn't
deep
even
my
get to
voice
say
is
thank
right
you.
now? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No worries.
Go ahead.
Thank you for coming. Excited to have everyone here for our debut of Sweatworking in London. This is an extension of our jpmorgan Corporate Challenge Global Series, and really just want to bring a fun evening of working out and networking together with this awesome panel. So I will allow the lovely panelists to introduce themselves, starting on my far left.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Blackwell-Frost. I am the Chief Customer Officer for Nuffield Health. Good to see you all.
Woo! I'm a bit nervous now. So I'm Joanna Stansel. I work at JP Morgan, and I'm the co-head of Global Banking in HR.
I am the Kevin Hart. The is important. That's what I go by now. The Kevin Hart. And I am a model, comedian, actor, and hand model as well. I've added hand model to my resume. And I'm ready to have great conversation and good times and put some good energy in the air. So I hope you guys are too. I like good rooms. So before we do this, make sure you're in a good mood to receive information, give it, I like a nice back and forth. So don't be the people that's just so tensed up and tight. Let's have a good time right now, okay? All right, I've said it. Go ahead.
With that, all right. So you guys are obviously all accomplished in your industries, but you, of course, have very busy schedules. So how do you prioritize fitness against all of your other competing priorities? Kevin, starting with you.
Great question.
Kevin.
I think fitness for me is just is important because it starts my day off. I think for everything else to follow, my mental needs to be intact. And for me, it's not necessarily about the way I look, it's about the way I feel. So I love what fitness does for me from a feeling standpoint. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I feel like I'm taking advantage of all the tools around me that can basically help me create and stick to a healthy lifestyle that can give me longevity and give me all the opportunities to be better at the things that I love, from being a parent, from being a husband, an entertainer. I do so much. So the fitness plays a major role in just doing it at the highest level possible for me.
Joanna?
So I agree. It's a good question and something that we all struggle with. However, I think my kind of secret to it is I tend to exercise with friends. So I have quite a good routine. I stick to the routine during the week, and it generally involves me hanging out with my friends, whether that's running or going to a yoga class. So there's always an incentive of a coffee afterwards. But really, I think if you make it a priority and then you make it your routine, so you always know that on Saturday morning at X time you're doing this, or on a Wednesday evening you're doing that, and it's got to have a bit of variety in there, otherwise it gets boring.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee, not tea.
Always coffee, flat white.
Love it.
Kind of predictable.
Chris?
I tend to exercise on my own because I have no friends.
I know. I just heard a bit about Chris's life. He's a commuter.
So I am a commuter, actually, so I tend to do the opposite to Kevin. I exercise at the end of the evening. I tend to use it a little bit as a de-stress. I guess there's two things I do. One is I always set myself a bit of a challenge, so I am doing the Rat Race Dirty Weekend this weekend in Burley House. And then I tend to plan it in around my week, actually, so weekends are good. I'll do a couple of long runs or a long bike, and then do an hour most evenings. But yeah, it's all about planning it in, I guess, more than anything else.
And then piggybacking off of that for you, Chris, besides the obvious health benefits, how can physical fitness impact a person's everyday life?
Good question. It's an interesting one. So I would come at it from a slightly different angle to start with, which is, and I read this stat the other day actually, on average as working adults, we spend 7 hours a day sitting. And if you take out those people that have manual jobs, it's about 11 hours a day we spend being inactive, which is nearly half the day, which is I guess an amazing stat on that side of it. But also what it's ended up doing is creating a situation where 1 in 3 adults of working age, so 1 in 3 people in this room, have a chronic condition due to inactivity. And actually, the single biggest thing that they can do to change that isn't to give up smoking, isn't to drink less or lose weight. It's actually just to do 30 minutes exercise 5 days a week. And the proven benefits around exercise, it reduces your risk of cancer 20 to 30%, reduces heart disease by 35%, diabetes 40%. So physically, it has a major impact. But actually, 47% reduction in anxiety and up to 50% reduction in depression by exercising. So in terms of the positive impacts on your day, by exercising, you feel better, you're more alert, you're more confident. But ultimately, in terms of the impact it can have on you as an individual or on your work colleagues and your employer, that depression, chronic conditions, diabetes, etc., will impact you every day. So hence why the importance of exercising.
Awesome. And then Joanna, kind of transitioning into the workplace, do you think there are parallels between promoting health and wellness and company culture?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's absolutely true. So we're quite lucky at jpmorgan. We've got a CEO called Jamie Dimon who also chairs the board, and he talks a lot about, look after your health, look after your family, and he also puts this expression in, look after your soul. So we've spent a lot of time thinking about the wellness pillars, and we'd like to think about it as physical health, mental health, and then in addition to that, your whole financial health. And how can you, work across the three of them? We do a lot of kind of work in terms of giving people great products, whether it's mortgage surgeries, whether it's a great health screening, whether it's talking about mental health in an open way. So we've got the kind of videos out there. But what you really need to think about is all the research that's around this in every country across the world. And it's really saying that if you can work on those three pillars, you're probably likely to have a more motivated, engaged employee base. And the reverse is also true. So if people are struggling with their mental health, have got difficult financial issues, or just genuinely unfit, then you're probably seeing a presentism with your workforce, up in high absentee rates and all those kind of things. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's a very important thing that people need to think about and organizations really need to focus on.
So I think with those three pillars, I think two stand out in kind of the new partnership that we have with Kevin alongside Boss here of being financial health and physical health, and how those really blend together to really become the best version of yourself. So Kevin, financial goal setting and fitness goal setting, have you experienced those impacting one another?
100% I have. First of all, two phenomenal answers. And, just listening to it, it makes so much sense. Within your physical health, your financial health, I consider that I've experienced it because they go hand in hand. Nothing happens overnight. And I think the problem that a lot of people have is they want an immediate reaction to everything. Patience is something that so many lack. You say, I want to get in shape and I want to get in the gym, and then you get in there and you may go during an hour where everybody has the strongest back you've ever seen, and you lift weights that day and go, my back doesn't look like this, I'm done with this. And you quit, you're done. There's a high level of patience and understanding that within the long term, so many good things are going to come from your commitment to you, right? Within the financial side of it, so many good things come with the commitment to understanding your financial world. There's so much that we don't know, and so many people are afraid to ask. And I was one of those people that was afraid to ask. And it wasn't until I got over the fear of just saying, I don't understand none of this. Like I literally had to be so honest and upfront with a financial advisor and say, I don't understand how to put myself in a position to where my money works for me and I'm able to leverage my money to get things and do more in life. How does that happen? And they said, well, you have to build. You got to build. You got to build your credit. You got to get trust from those around you. You got to build relationships. Within your financial building, the structure basically gets stronger as you get stronger, as you get more knowledgeable. And that's just like the world of the gym. As you get more knowledgeable about your body and understanding how to take care of yourself, you not only get stronger, you simply get better. You just get better. You're able to do more, and your mind works at a different pace because you're now so confident knowing that you're giving 100% to you. For me, that's my biggest thing. I'm not in the business of looking at others and competing. I love to look at myself and beat who I was the day before. As long as I'm doing more than I did the day before, I'm ecstatic about my commitment to me. The same thing within my financial world. As long as I'm doing more financially than I was the day before, I'm ecstatic because that means I'm still growing. So for me, as long as I have forward progress in all the things that I've committed to for myself, I'm happy. And that's a strong word to use that some people don't put enough understanding to. Being happy means you hold your head up high and your shoulders are up straight because you are confident in you. The best way to do that is to invest in you. I invest in me, and I invest a lot of time and energy into becoming a better me. So on both of those sides, it's a world that never stops. You can always be better. You can always learn more. You can always do more. And that's the exciting thing about the health and wellness and also the financial growth that you can experience in life.
Love it. Chris or Joanna, any additional points about financial health and kind of the goal-setting side of physical health and how they impact or influence one another?
I'm probably not the best person to answer this one, actually. My dad was from the northeast, so he was so tight he would squeak when he walked, and so I grew up sort of thinking I was never ever going to be that tight with money. So I'm probably a little bit the opposite. It tends to go through my fingers more than it should do. Interestingly, my wife is a little bit older than me, and we had a conversation about 2 years ago around actually you're not far away from 55, 6 years away, and you could potentially retire at that point. So I had a little bit of a light bulb moment at that point. So from that point onwards, I mean, to take Kevin's advice, absolutely the same. Sat down with a financial advisor and starting to plan for that. But up until that point, you know, if you wanted to borrow £100, you'd have £100 in your hand. So I was a bit too generous, I guess. So, but I luckily am now married with a wife who signs off all my purchase orders and everything else. So from that side of it, it's all sorted.
And that's another beautiful thing too, is like, you know, the game of goals. The game of goals that you can set with yourself is a game that doesn't have to ever end, you know, because as you accomplish a goal, you just set another one. So, you know, he said, look, he knows that time is coming when he could retire, but when that time does come, he may look at what he has and go, oh my God, if I got to 60, I could double, or this could be even more, and I'm able to be more comfortable. Maybe I'll push it a little more. There's so many things that you can do and that you can leverage against one another. So the goals that you set for yourself mentally and physically, it's never ending. They can always go. My goal was to run a marathon. I did it, damn near died. And immediately after, I started talking about trying to do the 5 biggest ones, because I just instantly said, all right, I did one. Do I stop here or do I try to do something else? It's always playing that game with yourself of just not being satisfied so that you don't be content. That's a great point just to add to.
So going off of goals and the Kevin that we know now, correct? Versus kind of looking back in your humble beginnings. I think you've admitted financial health and literacy wasn't something that came easy or you didn't have access or awareness to. Mm-hmm. So take us back to some of those times and what mistakes did you make when it came to financial planning?
I made them all. I don't think there was a mistake that I didn't make. You know, I burned through money, I think faster than anybody when I first got it, because I didn't understand anything about it. You know, nobody explained to me how taxes work when I first started to make money. Nobody explained to me that I needed an LLC and I needed a corporation and I needed something to funnel this money through and that these companies should pay myself. I didn't understand it. So everything came to me and I spent it as if it was going to come in forever, because that's the mental understanding that you have when you never had. I was a product of my environment. So all of the mistakes that I made and all of the damage that I did to the younger version of myself was honestly done to prepare me for this older, much more mature and smarter version. If you don't make those mistakes, or if you're not aware of the damage that these mistakes can really do, then you're not living with the understanding of what could. Sometimes it takes the worst to happen to put you in a position to go, no, never again. God, if I get one more chance, I promise you I will take it serious. I promise you I will do the things that I was supposed to do. And those moments came when I was 21, 22 years old. And I'm so thankful for those moments, because they forced me to put myself around people that didn't have those experiences, but had the knowledge to keep me from experiencing it again. Now, what I'm doing, I'm taking all the information that I have and I'm going to the younger generation that's full of people that were just like me when I was that age that don't know. And my goal is to educate and make them understand so they don't end up in the same position that I ended up back then. Because we didn't have the opportunities to be informed. And the people that tried to inform us couldn't relate to where I came from. So I think that I'm very relatable. And I think that I'm able to go back to a certain demographic and speak with a high level of honesty that people will have no choice but to understand, listen to, and take and apply it to their life. If I can help 5 to 8 people, great. If I help out more than that, outstanding. But I know at least I did my part in sharing information. We try to keep information secret, and I just don't know why. Why do people fall in love with going, no, that's for me. I don't want nobody else to know. I don't want nobody else to know what I know. Why? The more people that know, the more powerful this whole world that we live in becomes. So I want to do my part in simply informing, explaining, and helping people understand.
And Joanna and Chris, for you, I think along those points, talking about finance is a taboo. A lot of times I think people are emotional, insecure, fearful, or even pride comes into the conversation. What tips do you have for the audience of how to really break that barrier of becoming more comfortable talking about finance with your peers?
Well, I think there's quite a really good TV campaign on at the moment in the UK. I don't know if anybody's seen it. I think it's for High Street Bank, Lloyd's maybe. And they're really pushing that people should start talking about their financials. And they've got different ages in the TV shot. And like, do we talk about money? No, we don't. Why don't we? Oh my gosh, we should start talking about it. And we were talking a little bit earlier, weren't we? And I was sort of saying it's a bit about, in our British culture, isn't it? Money's a bit of a taboo. And it's such a shame, and I think probably most of us work in organisations where there are so many products and information sessions that you can leverage to find out more about it, and you really should take that opportunity. So I would just say keep talking.
Chris, what about you?
I'm not sure I've got anything to add on that, actually. I think there is partly a generational thing. I think there's partly a class thing as well. I mean, I came from a very sort of, quite a working class background. We never talk about money with my parents at all, actually, other than my dad, how not to spend it, I guess, more than anything else. So so I agree with you, actually, is just be very open with that. Certainly we'll talk with my kids about it all, but I don't actually genuinely think the last time I had a conversation with them about how to financial plan or anything like that. So so yeah, pretty poor, actually. So I'm so pleased you asked the question. So I'm not sure I'm contributing a great deal.
You know what I think, which is where I think the relationship with me and JP Morgan Chase, where it becomes unique. My biggest thing that I preach and that I've said to them when we've had our discussions and we've been in the board meetings is simplify it. You know, you have to dumb these conversations down. I hate to use the word like dumb, but I'm using it because there's so many people that don't want to hear big words. There's so many people that just don't want to hear how smart and educated you can give information. There's so many people that get bored and go, this is just not for me. When you get to talking in numbers and codes in paragraph 3 and section 5, D8, go read, and the intellectual property, I don't want to hear that. You have to speak to people in a way that people want to go and engage and actually give from what you said. You have to simplify it and give people the opportunity to learn from the ground up. We can't expect everybody to be on this level or this level. Let's start here and get people excited about learning and understanding, and then they'll want to go more, and then they can eventually get to the higher levels. That's what I think is going to help, and that's why I think being authentic, being real, and having a real story behind my financial health and my financial growth is something that people are going to gravitate towards, because I lived on both sides. I was broke as I got to this place from understanding, from learning, and it took a long time, but I had to invest the time in to get the benefits that I want in return. That's what I think people need to walk away with and truly understand, and that's how you'll see the real success.
We'll open it up to the audience for about 2 questions before rapid fire and then the workout. Does anyone have any dying questions?
Sorry. 5-5. What? Sorry. My training schedule, basically, right? You know, I love to switch it up. I love to keep things exciting. So I've been boxing a lot lately. You know, it kind of led me to a place of disbelief. I got in the ring and sparred. Didn't go good for me. But I like the fact that it's different, it's new, and it's something else that you can challenge yourself and just getting better at. I like starting from the bottom in different things. So running was that same thing for me. I started off trying to run a 5K, then it went to a 10K, then it went to the half marathon, then it eventually got to a marathon. But I found a way to have levels within these different worlds of fitness. Boxing is a new thing. Outside adventures, you know, finding a beach, finding a crew, finding people to do sand workouts with, you know, cross training, CrossFit, different environments, just constantly switching it up and giving yourself a chance to go, wow, I sucked yesterday, but today I was better. So I like to do that. That helps me. I'm not saying that that's something for everybody, but for me, I like a world where I can constantly see growth. So it's always switching up. I just start early. It's just 5 a.m. every day. It needs to be the first thing that I do. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
All right, guys, this was great.
Not done.
This was great. What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Before going, thank you. Before going into rapid fire, I obviously want to thank some other people for making this happen in like 2.5 weeks. So Limelight Sports, our local agency, OBE, and then our lovely partners, Nutfield Health. So now we'll go into rapid fire, and then you may excuse yourself if that's
Can
okay.
I ask a question?
Sure.
Have you now, like in a position that you're in, you know, with you, of course, seeing and dealing with so many people in this finance world, have you at any point looked back at your life and said to yourself, like, I wish that I had have done such and such back then, and if I had have, it probably would have put me in a position to have more now? Like, do you see and realize mistakes that you made? Can you identify with any?
I think it's like I'd never thought. I mean, you reflect back and you think about mistakes you've made, but actually sort of taking your lifeline, which the Kevin's just asked me to do, is a really interesting exercise, which I'm just doing right now. And I can definitely see it with sport. So I was really sporty at school, loved it. And then, you know, you go to university, you're still a bit sporty, I was, but other things, social life, and then you hit work in your 20s. And I didn't focus on sport at all. Maybe for about a decade. And I definitely look back and I was pretty unwell. You know, I wasn't overweight or anything like that, but I definitely, not kind of fatigue, but, you know, didn't feel good. And now it's so much part of my life and I get up and I feel great most days.
Wow.
What was that all about? So I can't actually pull something back on the financial piece. I've always been really lucky. I've worked for jpmorgan a long time, and you know, with that has come a certain financial security, but definitely on the sport. And then I was talking to a girl at work today who this year has lost 3.5 stone. And we were just having like a monthly catch up, and she was talking about how her job had sort of pivoted and had become far more strategic. It's around the whole digital agenda and how we recruit people. And she said, you know what, I don't think I could have done this a year ago. But I feel so different. You know, I'm working out most days. I don't know what's clicked. Suddenly, everything's clicked, and it's what I want to do. And I'm planning my social life around my exercise regime, and I can really tackle this. And then we did start kind of having a bit more of a conversation. You know, what was your family like? Did you have role models as parents? And so I'm really pleased that I do what I do, and hopefully my next generation, my kids, will be fit and sporty and keep it going.
No,
But probably need to think more about talking about the finances at home. Note to self.
I asked that because I just think it's interesting when you can dive into any person that has any type of success backstory. I think it's interesting, and I think it's something that other people just simply need to hear because it makes it a reality that they can achieve. You know, when you hear how somebody else's world kind of laid out and what they went through and the steps they took, it adds as an antidote that you can mentally use and apply it to just your day-to-day and how you approach your world, and knowing that, you know, things are achievable. They're in arm's reach, for lack of a better word. Oh God, sorry. False alarm. Sorry, guys.
All right, quick fire. What song motivates you to get through a workout?
Rocky theme song will get me through it. I'm very serious. I'm very serious, man. The Rocky theme song can do miracles for you. It's a very motivating song.
Joanna.
Well, the funny thing is it's the same in our family.
Yes.
You know, my husband has the same thing, and it's in the house, and the boys do it to it, and everything. I'm probably a little bit more gentle, but you know, I get where you're coming
Yes.
from.
Yes.
Chris.
Well, Holly and I had this conversation the other day, actually. 2 songs, actually. One, best Rocky theme ever, Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger.
And the second one is the Rocky theme training music as well, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Rocky will get you there. Yes.
Favorite cheat meal.
This is gonna be a shocker because I'm black. Chicken. Chicken. I used to destroy chicken. Yes. I know you guys are thrown off by that, but it's all types of chicken.
With rice?
Yeah, just chicken. It doesn't matter what it was. That would be the favorite cheat meal.
What about you?
Pizza?
Okay.
Pizza.
That's a good one.
Cheat meal, did you say? As in,
Yes,
like,
cheat.
yeah.
Like, just go for it.
Yeah, probably
Pizza.
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 Chinese curry, half rice, half chips.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. All right.
Wow.
Favorite type of exercise.
Favorite type of exercise? Core work. Core
Really?
work. Anything core. Because core is a good world for me. I'm small. I'm compact. So I like to work the core. It's easier for me than other people. It just makes me look like I'm much more in shape than I actually am. That's anything core for me.
Running club. Love it. Go to a running club. Best thing I do all week. Amazing.
Nice.
Awesome.
Getting out on a bike, clears the head.
Awesome.
So, yeah, perfect.
And last question, Kevin. Advice for working out with boss who's about to.
Advice for working out with boss. Don't look him in the eye. If he says something more than twice and he looks you in the eye, just act like you understand it and just do it. More importantly, I would say try. You know, he's going to throw a lot of different things at you. And I think the fun of it is the energy and the passion that he has behind these workouts. And while you're there, try. You don't got to do it all at the highest level, but just know that you did it. So give it 100%. And I'll be out there and I'll be walking around with him. But, you know, the main thing is just don't look him in the eye. He's very aggressive.
Just gonna start right now.
He's extremely
Enough,
aggressive.
I'm already ready.
See,
ready.
With that,
okay, brother.
it's the boss.
Yes, sir.
No, we're ready.
Are
Oh,
you
you're
ready?
ready.
Make sure you get
It's
some
all
water
about the
in
boss
towel,
now.
but the talking is over.
Brother, you ain't got to yell at these people. You ain't got to yell at these people. I know that.
If they want- if
These
they
are
want
nice
it, I
people.
give it to them too.
These are nice people.
I don't
You-
really need a mic.
You ain't got to talk
I'm
to
just
these.
using a mic.
Okay, brother.
I talk loud,
Brother, I ain't your enemy. I'm here to support you.
so talk to these people.
Okay, you see what I'm
Tell
saying?
the
He's
people to
very.
get a water bottle and a towel so we can get ready to start.
Everybody,
each other.
trust me. Get your water bottle and your towel. Okay.
Awesome.
I see you guys out there. Boss,
If
it's
you got
gonna
on
be
a
great.
suit, you're not leaving either. We got security. You working out too.
Okay. Oh,
People in
goodness.
the suits and the dresses.
Awesome. Everyone can follow boss over there, and he will get you guys started with the workout.
I'm excited.
Don't be afraid,
Thank
guys.
you.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm excited.